Welcome to the Teaching Bites podcast. Here are your hosts, Fred and Sharon Jaravada.
I'm going to do this episode about a podcast.
So we're going to do a podcast about a podcast today.
Yeah, we are.
Everyone.
It's kind of weird, huh?
Ooh, some meta.
It's very meta. Hey, guys. Welcome to the Teaching Bites show, where we connect you with people and ideas to take your teaching to the
next level. I am Sharon Jaravada.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
I already said who I am.
Oh, I didn't say who I am. I forgot.
See, if we competed in the Olympics synchronized swimming, we'd drown.
Yeah, you would go first.
All right. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to be talking about, and I don't have the title for this episode, but it's all about why we encourage, well, I encourage you, and Sharon does too, actually, to try to create a classroom or a school podcast this year. And we're going to go over why it's beneficial for you and for the students. And also, I want to share a little snippet of what I did with my students last year. So you'll hear them recording what I did, when I did recording with what they actually recorded themselves. I set them up, but they were reading their poems, and you'll get to hear that for about 5 minutes or so at the end of the show. All right?
Mm-hmm.
But before we get started with this show, I would like to ask you, our dear listener, you working out, you in the car. Well, if you're in the car, if you're working out, don't do this on your phone. Make sure you pull over. Make sure you do it later on. Don't do it in the car. No texting in the car. Okay? So I applied to be included, to take my idea. It's called Why You Should Create a Classroom Podcast Now. That's the title of my idea. This project, I submitted it to the South by Southwest Edu conference happening in March 2017. And now they are going to open the voting. It's live right now. So people who follow our show, we encourage you to go ahead and vote for our show so that the votes can be counted, and the more votes that we get, the more chances that we get to be part of the South by Southwest EDU happening in Austin, Texas in 2017. And if you're going to be around there and we're there too, let's hook up. All right?
Come by, say hi.
So I created a link for you. You can go to www.teachingbites.com/vote. VOTE. Teachingbites.com/vote. And you'll need to register to log in first. You can log in with your Facebook. Okay. Go in and you can cast your vote, a little thumbs up, and that will be counted. It's anonymous, so we don't get to see who voted for us. But right now, we do have at least 74 people who shared it on Facebook, about 16 people on Twitter, they shared it, and one person on LinkedIn, that they shared this project that we are proposing to be at South by Southwest EDU. So again, it's www.teachingbites.com/vote. And if you take your time, take some quick time, a minute of your time, we really do appreciate it.
If we do, thank you very much.
All right. So why did I do this? Podcasting, you know what a podcast is. You can listen. It's an audio file that you can listen to anywhere, anytime. You can pause it. You can continue where you left off, or you can rewind it. You can listen to it half speed. I hope you guys would know that. You know that half speed, you can listen to our voice 1.5, even up to 2 to 3 times speed.
But I don't sound like a chipmunk, do I? When it goes
yes, you
faster?
do. You actually sound like Simon.
Oh, how endearing.
So, though I wrote out a little bit of the project on the South by Southwest EDU page, I'm going to go over the benefits right now with you on why you should start a classroom or school podcast.
All right. So go ahead. Why should we start a podcast, Fred?
Okay, so the whole point of this podcast, of having a school podcast, it's to empower the students. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Video is great. Blogging is great. They're all great mediums, right? A lot of people are writers. They can write really well. We teach our kids how to write well. That's a good way to share their ideas in the world. There are tons of video out there. Video is a great way to share your thoughts, ideas, and how-tos, and you could put that all on YouTube, okay? There's about, last time I read, it was about 500 million blogs out there, I believe. No, I may be wrong. I think it was about 1 billion blogs out there that has been created. Obviously, not all of those. Most of those aren't probably all
Inactive
blogs. There are about, let me look this up real quick. I think YouTube, let's see, how many, I'm Googling this right now, how many videos are in YouTube? So, in 2014, it's about 2 years ago. So YouTube said there was about 300 hours of new video uploaded on their site every minute.
Oh, wow.
Every minute. Okay. So there's probably billions, a couple billion up there of videos. And obviously a lot of those videos are about cats.
I don't watch those, but I know there are.
That is one of the biggest categories of videos on YouTube. Cats. Okay. I'm allergic to cats, so I'm not a big fan of cats. Anyway, videos are great, right? So that they do empower students also. The difference between podcast and video, and obviously writing,
blogging,
right? It's audio. I mentioned earlier that it can be listened when you're switch or multitasking. You could do something else. You do the dishes. You are riding on your car, commuting. You're working out. You can listen to our voice.
And
right?
I think by focusing on the person's voice and how they express themselves, you can actually get a better idea than when you watch a video. I feel like it's a very intimate experience.
It can be.
You know?
And that's why we're between your ears right now. If you have headphones, you are listening to us, right? Very close. We're right by your ear. Okay. So it's very intimate. It can be very intimate, right? And especially if you have high quality mics we have. We have about a mid-tier, the ATR 2100 Audio-Technica mics, and they're really, really good, and they're very, very affordable. They're about $70 each. Now, it does help when you have good equipment. We have a mixer, we have all this stuff. So it sounds like we have the NPR voice, right? And that's one of the things my students really loved, okay? So going back to the benefits of this. What I see in the school setting, okay, and I work at a boys and girls school separate. Honestly, I see the girls loving podcasts because they don't have to worry about how they look.
Because you had middle school kids, right?
Right.
And they're so worried about what they look like, what they're wearing.
Right.
Even though your kids are wearing uniforms, but still.
Exactly. And you know what? I could even say the boys also. They're more relaxed when there's not a camera pointing at them. Yes, they have cameras all over the place, their pockets or iPads, their laptops. There's cameras all over the place. And they do a lot of selfies and all that. But that's kind of like an image that they project, They're trying to brand themselves or trying to be different. It's not really them. And obviously you can do that on a podcast. However, when you talk, we have over like 65 episodes now, 66 episodes now. I think you can tell our personality right now, right? You hear us, we're pretty honest. You can hear in the voice of what, you can see the authenticity of that. And in the recording, you're here with the girls. You hear them. They're reading off a script, but you'll start hearing them be more natural. Okay? So it definitely develops the 21st century skills. Okay? The 7 C's, if you noticed.
Not just 4,
We
but
bumped
7.
it up to 7 C's.
So we have collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking.
Those are the four. Exactly.
And then the other two are?
Confidence, caring about the world and each other, so empathy.
Yeah.
And courage.
So that's 8.
No, that's 7.
Huh?
That's 7.
Oh, it is 7.
And Sharon has an announcement later too about her new position also. So, and interesting. You're a math specialist now. That's weird.
Yeah, I can't add now yet. I can't add yet.
Anyway, going on with 21st century skills, podcasting offers higher order thinking skills. Right, the Bloom's taxonomy. Am I pronouncing that right? Taxonomy. Definitely with not just substituting and analyze, not just remembering and all that. They are actually analyzing, synthesizing, and creating. Something like that. But they're definitely creating something that's worthwhile. Okay. They are learning the technical skills, how to record. So they're getting into technology. They're learning how to put this on the laptop and how to edit, post-edit, right? Or even before that, they're pre-editing. So they are storyboarding the story, the script, what they're talking about is important. Then they're going to record with all the technical stuff that they're learning, and then they're going to post. They're going to do post-production, and that's where they start editing, sharing with others. So you can have a whole team.
So I actually have a question about the whole process. So I know we're going to hear some clips later about the poems, but I was wondering, when the audience hears it, is that their first time, I guess the first take? Or do they do a couple where they stop in between and
so
do it
what
over?
they did, when I worked with their English teacher, they talked together. They weren't recording yet. And we were crunched for time. We're always crunched for time, right, teachers? And things didn't work out as planned. So this was their first take, at least this group. There were a couple groups that did a couple more takes, but this group in particular, this is a first take.
And did they do any more than that one podcast, or they just did that?
We stopped right there because that was towards the end of the year already. So things, if school events get
it'd just
in
be
the way.
interesting to hear. So I know you're going to start it this school year.
Yes.
See the progress and what how they speak, and how natural things
Right.
become.
So I'm going to start documenting
Right.
this elected I'm teaching, right? From day one all the way up to
cool.
South by Southwest. Hopefully we get in. If you guys vote for us, please vote for us.
Please.
Anyway, so that's going to document that, how they develop their voice. So podcasting encourage students to develop their voice, right?
Yep.
So with storyboarding and how telling a story, that's like writing skills and reading skills and collaborative skills. They had to work with a team. They had to work with a publisher. They had to work with a writer. They had to work with a host or hosts. And so they had to collaborate. And they had to, throw ideas out there, what's going to work, what's not going to work. Just like how a real journalistic team, how they do it with an editor.
Right. So, I mean, going back to it, they have to, you said, work together, of course, and learn all the post production, all that. But do you recommend them to listen to podcasts, or do you recommend certain ones? Or
so yes, obviously I'm gonna definitely tell them what is a podcast, and a lot of them heard. It's weird. A lot of my middle school students, they hear NPR. I think their parents listen to NPR.
Oh, okay.
NPR has This American Life, that, and the whole Serial and Startup that came out last year or 2 years ago. That became a phenomenon. About podcasting really blew up, and we started about the same time as those things came out. And a lot of kids have heard of podcasts. Not everyone, but I think they get it. They think it's like a radio, right? I don't know if they still listen to radio. They listen to streaming music, right?
So would it be a good idea to tell them to listen first, or I'm just thinking, because I feel like if you tell them to listen first, they might kind of copy, but in a good way or in a bad way.
You copy. So the philosophy is also, and I believe that also, you copy and you fake it until you make it type of thing, right? You kind of copy. The professionals are what they do, and then you develop your own voice, right?
Right.
And I think I will, and I understand the other would flip it around, is just create one in a vacuum. Just create one, without even understanding what a podcast is. But I think if you show them what a podcast, or let them listen to certain podcast episodes, and let them find one, and what they're engaged, they're gonna find out what those podcasters are drawn to, what's engaging about that, and it's probably part of their personality.
Yeah.
And they're gonna see the authenticity if they find an appropriate podcast out there. So that's an important thing. Oh, real quick fact. Remember I said there was billions of blogs and there's billions of videos out there. There's only about 1 million, or about, last time I read, less than 1 million podcasts out there. And most of them are defunct.
They started and they don't follow through.
Or, they stop, right? It's just hard. Podcasting is pretty hard. Now, having said this, I said we had a mic with a mixer, okay? In schools, you don't need all that yet. Okay, you don't have to invest in so much equipment. You can go bare bones, straight into a phone, straight into a laptop with a mic. That's all you need. You could use the Apple or the Apple headphone mic.
Yeah.
You could use that straight into your computer. You can go just straight off your iPhone, but you could do that also. All the Android phones, they all have a recording. You could use that and upload it and save it into a Google Drive, and that's a podcast.
But you can't edit that and add any.
Well, they can edit
music.
it. No, they can't edit it. You can edit it in the music editor if you want. You can go deeper if you want.
Yeah, there's a free one, isn't it? Is it SoundCloud?
Soundtrap has one.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you could host it on a free, server, or like on Google Drive. A lot of schools have Google Drive now, but those aren't designed for multimedia use. Say if Oprah suddenly features you, right? And then she talks about your podcast, and then millions of people go to your link, Google won't be able to handle it from the Google Drive.
Oh, okay.
You need to park it or put a copy of it into Google Play Music or into a hosting company like Libsyn and so on.
Okay.
But you're talking about like subscription and all that already. It's getting more expensive. Classrooms and schools, they have smaller budgets or none at all, but they can get podcasting immediately just with the classroom, but highly suggest that you share it with the school community.
Yeah, so maybe on the school website, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, some more benefits. You get to engage. The kids get to engage with the community. They can interview coaches, other teachers, parents. They can interview the cafeteria staff, the janitorial staff. They get to become journalists, right? And they start interviewing and sharing their stories of other people.
Yeah, and this goes with any curricular area.
Exactly.
Right? And that's what's fun and exciting about it.
You can do this in math. You can do this in science. You could do this in social studies, obviously. Theater. Exactly.
Art. Oh.
Now, there are no visuals, okay? This is not a video podcast or a video. So the students will have to develop their speaking skills and their communication skills.
Right.
As I trip over that. How to tell a story without visuals.
And being able to describe something to someone that doesn't know what X looks like.
Exactly.
Is a good skill to have,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, a couple more. So they develop their interviewing skills, asking good questions, right? How to develop, let's see, I think we just ran down a lot of that already. I think most of it. I think there are a couple more here. But yeah, so also the pre-planning, I think I did mention that the whole thing about storyboarding, forming the story in your head, putting into paper, making sure you have a coherent story that you can tell.
Right.
With the listener in mind. Okay. So those are the general benefits of having a podcast in schools, in your classroom. So how, real quick, I have a list here, how podcasts can be used in your classrooms. Okay. You can use it in your newsletters. You can transform your written newsletters into a podcast. Your blogs can be podcast instead. You could have daily reflection, have kids talking to a mic. You can post questions of the day as a teacher. You can flip if you use Flip Classroom or some kind of blended learning style that you have. You can ask a question to other kids listen to it, post it on Google Classroom, listen to the link, right?
Yeah.
You can have book reviews.
Oh, like a book report.
Like a book report, exactly. Like movie reports, movie reviews, same thing.
Yeah.
Right. I think NPR has something like that. They talk about movies, and obviously you can't see the movies, but they have great critics, right? I think Siskel Ebert did that.
And even I was thinking, because in my book report project, I have the kids choose what kind of project they want to do. So this could be like a project I do, like diorama or comic strip or something, you know, or they dress up as a character. This could be an option too if they feel like this is something that shows their strength or is challenging for them. So,
another thing is with the younger grades, you can have the kids talking to like the kindergarten all the way to the third grade. So you can have them, you know, do their reading comprehension there into a mic, and they can hear it. You know, it sounds really good when it looks really. Well, I think the kid looks. They feel really good when they hear their voice, and a good mic, especially. They hear that quality.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking even if you do assessments throughout the year, just about, you know, like you said, kindergarten, maybe read aloud or something. And then you could show parents or have them hear it. Back
Reflection moments, right?
Conference time, or, you know, it's just a great way to, you could play beginning, middle, the end of the year, and you could play them all for them to hear it, you know, or even have them read the same sentence again 3 times and have them hear the expression, intonation.
Right.
You know, I mean, wow, I'm getting ideas now. So
you could do poem readings. You hear that in a few minutes, and then you have field trip reports. You could do some student cultural experiences. You could do, kids can talk about how-tos. They can do informational type of podcast. They can do sports reviews and all that, sports scores, and that's part of the newsletter. They can do research reports. They can talk about what they found, what's the next step, and so on. These are various grades, obviously. Clubs, you know, the various clubs can talk about their passions. And that's what I'm going to do. When I start off my elective this year, my class, I'm going to task my students to create a podcast of what they want to hear, of what they want to know. Okay. So if they're interested in drones, talk about drones. You got to research, you got to tell us, the listener, what it's all about.
Cool.
Right. If you're interested in movie making, tell us something about it. Right. Also, foreign languages. You can do a podcast on foreign languages.
Oh, like teaching someone how to speak it.
Like informational ones. It's pretty cool. You know, this develops the presentation skills. So you have so much, right? You can do so much. You have vocabulary, word practice. You have, you could use podcasts for back to school night so the parents can, you know, listen to the students. They can listen to the teacher, what to expect, what is happening in the classroom. Right? You can flip it that way. So there's a lot. You could do a lot with podcasts. Okay. And that's why I think it's very powerful. I think it's, you know, obviously I'm biased. I'm leaning towards the podcast because it's smaller, much smaller files, and anytime, anywhere, and you can look up and you don't need to look at a screen.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like, the kids are on the screens. Kids are on the screens. Okay. Well, there's another avenue, an option that you can have kids interact with media.
Well, and plus I feel like, you know, it's great for the kids when they are podcasting. They're probably sitting in a circle or at a table. They get to like look at each other.
Yes.
And how often do we actually look at each other and talk?
Yeah, you can have a group. So you can have like a host like this, or you get one person, you get 2 people, or you can have a round table, right? And you can have one little mic in the middle of the table and just discuss. You could go the whole Socratic method to talk about presidential election and so on. You can just talk.
And I think knowing that the audience will be the greater community at your school is a big motivator for kids, because they know I'm not talking just to my classmates. This is to the whole school. So how am I going to present myself? Because in the future, you've been doing that when you have an interview or you speak to your teacher in high school, right? So
I think this is a great way for teachers to get involved also with technology. I know technology can be kind of tedious and it's like, oh God, all this stuff to worry about. Podcasting can offer a way to get into the 21st century, empower your students, empower yourselves without the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. All right, folks. We're going to go ahead and play this part. It's a 5-minute clip. You'll hear 4 of my girls. These are my 7th graders, I believe. Yeah, 7th graders. And they are going to be reading their poems, and they're going to reflect on their poems. Okay? So let's get started.
Welcome to the Poem Podcast. I'm Hallie. Today, Madeline would like to share a poem.
Thanks, Hallie. This poem is about the real me. The fake me is loud, is crazy, is annoying. The fake me is likable, is weird, is nonsense. The fake me might listen, might share, might be someone. But the real me is different. She is sad and lonely. The real me is also quiet and shy and scared. The real me wishes and hopes and dreams. The real me loves but cannot be loved, as lonely as she may be.
I really enjoyed that poem, Madeline.
Thank you.
What emotions were you feeling when you were writing this poem?
Well, I felt like the real me was coming out, and the emotions I described in the poem were pretty much exactly what I was feeling as I was writing this, and as I feel like when I'm alone, too. So.
Why is this poem significant to you?
Well, it's significant to me because it's not a lie, it's the truth, and it's kind of what I feel all the time.
What is your favorite part about writing poetry?
I love to write poetry because I enjoy expressing emotions in beautiful language, and I like to write poems instead of the classic write a diary because I can never remember to write it down. Now Hallie would like to share her poem.
My poem is called The Real Me, same like as Madeline, the same assignment. The real me, the one who puts her hair up when she gets home, the one who spends all her time with horses, the one who watches Glee in her free time, the one who eats mac and cheese all day, the one who is happy all the time, the one who listens instead of talks, the one who likes country music, the one who screams whenever she's mad, the one who's the real me.
I like country music too.
Me too. Luke Bryan.
So how do you feel when you were writing this poem?
When I was writing this poem, I felt very open, like I was writing all my emotions down and turning it into something great. I've never really told a lot of people what I like and to listen or to country music or watch Glee. I think it was an opportunity for me to share my real self with the readers.
I agree. Why did you choose this poem?
I chose this poem because I felt the happiest when I was writing it, and I was confident enough to share it. And confidence is one of my harder sharing points.
And what was your favorite part about poetry?
My favorite part about poetry is that there are no rules majority of the time, and I can just write until my hand hurts and get all my feelings out on paper.
Same.
So now Bemnet is going to read her poem.
Hello, Ryan. Thanks for having me today. And my poem is called Mother. A mother is always here for you when needed. A mother is always there next to you to guide you. A mother is always a source of comfort. A mother is always there to catch your teardrops. A mother is always there to talk to. Tell me what a mother doesn't do.
Bemnet, why did you decide to write this poem about your mother?
Well, because my mom is a really important part of my life, and she's always there when I need her.
What were your emotions and feelings when you were writing this poem?
I felt inspired, and it was easy to write because it was my true feelings about my mom, like just shaped into a poem. So yeah.
And what was your favorite part about writing this poem?
That it was very simple to write, and that it kind of flowed easily. And I said it was based from true emotions, so that definitely made it easier.
Okay, thank you for sharing your poem today, Bennett.
It was a pleasure. Okay, so now, Ryan, you are the last one but not least to share your poem with us.
Okay, thank you. So this is a poem that I wrote because I felt like it. Hands can only hold a dose of sin, for a blight of the mind surpasses the skin. Forgiveness, synonymous, unforgotten plots. A crime is a crime before it is caught. You hone your blade and I hone mine, sharp until sharper, and sharpness divine. Dull to the eye, but what counts is the thought. A lie is a lie, before the spot.
I like it.
Oh my God, that was beautiful.
That was
you.
really.
Yeah. It's deep. What were your emotions when you were writing this poem?
Well, I was feeling deep and slightly desperate to get it done before it was due.
How is this poem significant to you?
Well, I feel like it says a lot of truth about the world, and it's one of my better poems, and it sounds like really cool and really deep and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
Definitely describes
Yeah,
Ryan.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not that deep, but just cool.
What was your favorite part about writing this poem?
Finishing it.
Strong answer.
Yes,
Very bold.
I am bold.
Well,
Thank you for joining us here on Poem Podcast with
Woo.
Hallie.
Madeline.
I'm Nat.
And me, right?
Thank you.
Well, we are back. So you hear our
Okay, I'm
students.
starting, so I just need to
Oops,
speak
sorry,
louder.
I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. So you hear the background, right? We are in a big makerspace in our schools. So you hear the door banging. You hear people walking around. We're encouraging people to be quiet. There are people working around them.
Doesn't sound like it's that much though. I mean, I hear it, but it's
Yeah.
not so
Again,
distracting.
it was a combination of mic technique, good mic technique. So I teach the girls how to use the mic properly. It's a combination of using these dynamic mics and mixing and so on. So, but there are people. There's about maybe 10 other people working on hands-on projects there.
Yeah.
But you hear us there. It's pretty cool, right? So it sounds that you are immersed in their discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear them, kind of like, reading off script, and they are, but it'll get better as they get, they learn more.
Right.
One question I know some teachers are going to ask, well, Fred, how long are these podcasts should be? And honestly, they can be just for a couple minutes to up to half an hour to even an hour. But I highly suggest start small, start simple. You could get all fancy later, right? Always do that. Start off with a minute show, right? Have kids do certain parts, 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there. If you have 6 kids, that's 60 seconds. You could go up, it's up to you.
Well, it's just so they're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Like when we started, we're like,
Yeah, I did mention this.
Yeah.
I don't go back and listen to our old episodes.
I haven't heard them in a while.
I'm confident that they have great information and they're all honest, but I just don't like listening to our old shows. It's just weird. All right. So, folks, again, I ask you to go ahead and go to teachingbytes.com/vote. Try to get our idea to have a session at South by Southwest EDU 2017 to be included there. We appreciate your vote. Please share it with other people. All right. And thank you for joining for this episode. Go ahead and share this episode, share our blog, subscribe to our show, and follow us on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram. Just type in Teaching Bites. We're all there.
Yep.
All right?
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
folks. Have a good one, and we wish you have a great beginning of the school year.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Teaching Bites podcast at www.teachingbites.com.